Hello everyone, my name is Christian, welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing another Withering Watchpile episode. This week's fun theme is Troma Entertainment, or Troma Distribution. They have rebranded so many times at this point. But before we go into all of that, we're going to welcome back Undead Nightmare 24. Welcome back. You chose this theme.
Thanks, Christian, for having me again. It's always fun to be on these, man. I'm enjoying them, and I'm pretty excited for Troma because I mean, there's a lot of nostalgia for me. I watched this since back in the cable days. Like I said, USA Up All Night was Troma Central. We had the TVs where you had to actually get up and turn them off and on. It was horrible, but really excited for this. It could go for the good or the bad in these films. So
Yeah, it's funny because I was introduced to Troma through G4 TV, which was like the gaming channel. And
mhm.
I don't know how, but they had a lot of movie rights in terms of like TV rights to a bunch of Troma movies and to a bunch of foreign films. So Shaw Brothers, I remember seeing some Bong Joon-ho films like back in the day before I even knew who he was, but they would only show The Host, which is like his take on the Godzilla movies. And but I saw not Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger, and I remember seeing that when I was like 9, and being completely like, "This is badass," and like totally not like shouldn't have seen that at that age, but I loved it. And I've been watching Troma movies here and there for the last like 10 years or so. And I think none of them can compare to that one except for one, which will be talked about later. But there's a lot of Troma movies. I think kind of talked about this before we started, but I have to do a history lesson because Troma is so confusing to me as a studio, because some movies we have Lloyd Kaufman directing, but 99.9% of them he's producing, and I'm like, why is he even producing these movies? And like, what made him want to do any of this? Because he's like 76 now or something, 74, and he's still doing this. uh, Troma has a really fun world record that no one really looks at, which is that they are the longest running independent studio in America. And it's by the fact that they keep rebranding themselves instead of just letting them go out of business, because they should have been out of business a long time ago. But I think I go into that. Yes, okay, so I'll just go right into it about who Lloyd Kaufman is and then what Troma is. So, Lloyd Kaufman is one of the co owners. There's someone else by the name of Michael Hertz, who I don't really know anything about, and I don't really care about that person because Lloyd Kaufman is such a character. He is always there. I don't think he does anything in his life except Troma stuff. Whether it's marketing, making movies, writing books, because he's written like 5 or 6 books now, all about how to produce a movie, how to write a movie, how to cast people for your movie. Like, he's really fucking good at the craft. Nobody gives him money though, so that's why he's just kind of jack of all trades. But Lloyd Kaufman actually went to college at Yale, which I had heard about but didn't believe until I did my research. And his major was Chinese studies, because I do know he's fluent in Chinese, I think. And some of his classmates at Yale include Oliver Stone, who's a pretty good director, and George W. Bush. So
Oh,
he was in the same class as them. If you want to, like, just kind of know how old he is, that he went to class with George W. Bush. Um, while he was at Yale, he had a roommate or someone he went to class with who was a huge film lover, and he discovered movies through his friend. And he says that his favorite directors are Kenji Mizoguchi, which I actually just got a new movie by him. Not new, but I acquired a movie by him from Criterion. He did Sancho the Bailiff, Yugetsu. He's done like dozens of movies from the 50s Japan. But he also loves John Ford, who we all know, Western guy. And Stanley Brakhage, who is like an experimental surrealist documentarian. There's a huge box set of like 200 movies in the Criterion collection. You can get all 200, but they're all like 2 to 30 minute, short movies. And it's just like everyday things like surgeries, autopsies. It's like really weird, but he's a huge fan of that, which I'm not surprised about. He ended up going to the Peace Corps after Yale because he was so sick of Yale. And he ended up going to the country of Chad, which is like in the Middle East. I think it's one of those, one of the two countries at the southern end of the Arabian Peninsula, kind of south of Pakistan and Iran and Iraq and all those countries. But he came back after a year or two working there and ended up directing his first movie and producing his first movie with Canon Films, who we all love because they did a lot of fun action movies. But this is 70s Canon Films. So not yet at the top, but Canon Films gave everybody ever the start. What's his name? Who's that famous? Oh my gosh, who's that famous producer? I had his name in my head. Oh my god. Fuck. Okay, I forgot his name, but a famous producer who got everybody into filmmaking. Fuck. What's his name? I'm gonna have to look him up.
Was he from Canon Films?
Yeah. I feel so bad. That was like the one name.
There's Dennis Friedland and Chris Dewey. Any of them?
No.
No.
Fuck. No. What's his name? This is so embarrassing. Okay, I'll just edit this.
Happens to me all the time.
Famous producers. What the fuck is your name?
There's Yoram Globus.
I don't think it's him. Okay, I'm just gonna have to look up Jack Nicholson. Early movies. Because I know he gave him his start.
Yeah.
Who the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna have to look up Little Shop of Horrors now. This is so embarrassing. Oh my
Go
God.
back to the classics there.
That's how long this guy has been around. Aha! Okay, I found it. His name is Roger Corman.
Oh man, Roger Corman.
Yeah. I don't know how I forgot his name. My brain was like, his name is Stanley. And I'm like, I know it's not Stanley. I was thinking of somebody. But I don't even know what my original point was. But Roger Corman was heavily involved in Canon and a million other studios. He has produced like thousands of movies, got a lot of people started, and he did with Lloyd Kaufman too. So he's one of the popular producers along with Lloyd Kaufman in the cult film era. But there were two movies that he produced early on, one of which I will talk about later, and the other one is The Girl Who Returned. But he also produced Sugar Cookies, and I think directed, and then was location executive for Saturday Night Fever, which is like one of the biggest movies of like the 70s. Oh, yeah. I did not know that he found all the locations for that movie. But on my second part of my history lesson, Lloyd Kaufman did a lot of freelance work when he was doing the early Troma movies. So he would do a lot of huge Hollywood productions, including Rocky. He did, it says he edited on Troma's flatbed machines. I think autocorrect did something there, but he also was a worker on Saturday Night Fever and The Final Countdown, which has been released by Blue Underground.
Oh, yeah.
So, which he produced. And he said while working on Final Countdown that this movie specifically is what made him never want to work in a major studio again. So, again, he's dedicated his entire life to the Troma brand. And I'm not sure why, because all it is, I mean, not all the movies, but in a financial sense, they're all failures. They never make money. Only one did, which is Toxic Avenger, which has been really the only successful movie from that early 70s, 80s era. And it was in the 90s that after making like 30 sequels for Toxic Avenger and a children's TV show, after they all flopped horribly, he finally said, fuck this, I'm just going to produce. And that's when they had to downgrade. Instead of filing for bankruptcy, he was like, okay, we're just going to become an independent studio instead of a major American studio, which I did not know they were at one point considered a huge studio like Paramount or MGM or anything like that. I
didn't know that either.
I assumed they were independent from the beginning. So again, that's why they're technically the longest running independent studio, because they just keep rebranding and refiling what the business is classified as. But so after they did that, they were like, okay, we're just gonna let anybody and everybody make a movie, and we'll give them as much money as we can and just hope we make money. And this is when you see the golden age of the Troma, where you get Romeo and Juliet, written and directed by James Gunn, who went on to make giant fucking Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy. He got kicked from that, went on to do The Suicide Squad, did Brightburn, did all sorts of big movies. And I don't know if you've seen The Suicide Squad from last year, but Lloyd Kaufman makes a cameo. He's in the bar scene when they're dancing.
I like that movie, man.
Yeah, I loved it. And it was funny.
About the gore. It was pretty gory.
Oh, yeah. It was for a superhero movie, I was shocked. It was even... I think it's much better than Deadpool, which is another R-rated gory.
I agree, too.
But it was funny because I was watching that with a friend, and like we were just watching it, and I completely forgot that James Gunn had made the movie. I was just so caught up with how good the movie was. And then at one point I was just watching it and the boss scene happened and I was like, oh my god, I know that old man. That old man is Lloyd Kaufman. Oh my god, he's in it. And my friend was like, who's Lloyd Kaufman? And I'm like, oh, he's this famous guy. Like, the director got his start through Romeo and Juliet, which I've seen. It's okay. I also saw it in a classroom, so that could have contributed to my just okay, reaction to it. But they also did Terraformer and one of the best movies of all time, which I can't name yet. But that was all in the 90s. Since then, he has just been focused on distributing and kind of helping other people make movies. And one of the fun things about him is that he always has a cameo. He does it all for free. He does not take any money when he does cameos, which I thought he would take money. $10 a movie, just to appear for like half a minute. Make a lot of money doing that, but he doesn't. He does it for the love and to help other people. And so, that's kind of my really, really quick history lesson. I've always been kind of confused about the timeline of Troma because, again, they're the longest running studio and they've done a million different things. And I don't know how they do it. They're still around. They have a streaming platform now, which is why it was really hard for me to find the good movies because I didn't want to pay for the service. So I was kind of stuck with the bottom of the barrel 2010s era.
The newer ones. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know they were a major company. That's interesting. And he sounds like a pretty successful guy, man, just to be headed towards these films. I'm like, wow.
He went to Yale.
He's well educated, yeah.
Yeah. He's a great businessman.
Like I said, I always watch these films on USA Up All Night. It was that late night. And they'd pop up. I was like, these are so fucking weird, bro, but they're entertaining. So it catch my eyes. That's like 9-10-year-old me too, like you. I just glued to the TV like, this is fucking awesome, man. Should I be really watching this? I'm like, my mom's gone, so let me check it out, But every time you bring up Troma, I don't know why, it just gives me similarities to Full Moon. I don't know why. When I see Full Moon or Troma, it's like Charles Band, Lloyd Kaufman.
Roger Corman did a lot of really bad sci-fi movies back in the 80s. But my God, did he get it done? Like him and Lloyd Kaufman. Like Lloyd Kaufman in one of the movies that I'm going to talk about. It was one of his first movies he ever produced. It was made for like $1,000. The cameras kept changing the entire way where they were filming the movie, and then out of nowhere it changes the color completely and it looks awful. And I'm just like, how did that happen? Like, and it's always these like shot reverse like dialogue scenes where they're shooting the dialogue scene and they switch to like a 2-pixel camera. And I'm like, whose camera is that? Are they filming with a potato and like copper wires? Like, what is this? Like, but my God, he'll get the movie done. Like, he's really good about that. So I have a lot of respect for Troma, even if the movies suck for the most part. I love seeing the craft.
I grew up on those films, so they have a soft spot for me.
Yeah, there's a switch in my mind that goes off when I watch a Troma movie where I'm like, okay, bare minimum expectations.
Yeah.
They never have the budget they need. They never have enough people. Just experience the joy that they actually got it done.
And it's like its own universe, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it could be like a Marvel or a DC, but in their way, you know what I mean? It's you even have like Tromaville. They have their own little town, Tromaville, and all it.
Yeah, that was one thing I should have noted on my history lessons, that they do have a shared universe for the most part, and it's through the city of Tromaville, which is where Toxic Avenger, I think, was the first movie that had Tromaville. And it's still going. Class of Nuke Em High was in... I keep on say Nukemville, but it's Tromaville. But I haven't seen Class of Nuke Em High. That was the one I was going to see, but I couldn't find it. Well, I mean, I could find it.
One of their top films, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Poultry Guy is a really famous one. I
Yeah.
saw that a long time ago. I don't remember a thing, so it's like I never saw it.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard of it. But
Yeah. So I went first last time. It's all yours.
good, because I want to get this film out of the way. So
Starting off well.
I'm gonna go from worst to bad again, and this is the one I was talking to you about that I don't know how I made it through the film. I still don't know, but this is called Capture of Bigfoot from 1979.
I almost saw that one, and I
Did you?
decided not to.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
happy I didn't.
You didn't miss nothing on that. I'm gonna tell
I
you.
let you suffer through it.
Yeah, this is the one I was snoozing through. Um, so I'm gonna get into about the film. Killings are panicking citizens of a remote village, and we have a bunch of cops and people, citizens there trying to find out what's going on because I guess people go hunting and camping and they disappear in the woods. And what we get to know is it's actually a Bigfoot pretty much minding its own business, and like people fuck with it and they end up hurting its baby. And that's when the Bigfoot like goes on a rampage, like
Oh my god.
starts killing motherfuckers or whatever, even though it don't show it. But anyways, I don't know why this is called Bigfoot because I get into this debate. A Bigfoot and I can't even say this word, abominable snowman. Hope I said that right.
Abominable? Yeah.
Yeah, I always have a hard time with that word. It's one of those. I don't even know why it's called Bigfoot because the whole area's in snow.
I was like
And
a
it's a-
Yeti.
It's a Yeti. There you go. And it's called Bigfoot, so I don't get the movie. It's like,
Yeah.
but that makes sense to me. But anyways, this film stars George Buck Flower, man, from
Woo!
comes out on a lot of
I
John
love him.
Carpenter films.
Yeah.
Blood Games, Tammy and the T-Rex. He's in a lot of films.
Was he
but-
in that?
Yeah, they says he's in that film too. He always plays like that
The
homeless guy
Yeah.
or older alcoholic dude. That's real, real cool, man. But
I just saw him in Children of the Damned, and he has no
Oh.
dialogue. He just drinks in a classroom, then passes out.
Carpenter film.
Yep.
And They Live, he's a bum, and then he signs with aliens and gets a tuxedo and all this shit. They Live, but
It's the only time he ever progresses, like, ever. He's always just a homeless guy.
yeah,
Like, that's it. One
with
or
the
two
Grizzly
scenes.
Adams look or whatever. Yeah, this has I'm gonna say Yeti because it's not a Bigfoot, but it's a man in the suit, definitely, which I didn't think was bad. I thought that looked pretty good, but you could tell it's a man in the suit. And the setting of this film is just snow. It's snowy weather. I mean, you got a blizzard going through. A lot of the kills you don't see. I have a thing with off-screen kills. I just have this thing. If you don't show the gore of the kills, I'm gonna be snoozing in this film. I think that's what happened. Because a lot of the kills is him like picking up a person and throwing them, and you could tell it's a dummy. But it's the same kill over and over, like to everyone. And you're like, you can't change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same body slam by the Bigfoot, like every time.
I'll say
And
with
then,
Suburban Sasquatch, which is the best Bigfoot Sasquatch Yeti movie ever, they have a lot of different kills. He at one
Sure.
point rips off a guy's arm, hits him in the head with the arm, kills him, and then goes to another camper. Oh, it's actually fishermen. It's two fishermen, like two brothers, I guess. And they, for the other fisherman, he rips out his stomach and then shoves it down his throat. And it's all just like raw chicken, like with like red blood on it.
Oh, nice.
That movie's
See,
probably made for like $5 and it sounds better.
I could deal with that. This one's just like, it goes on and on, nothing happening. And I'm like, you just get people walking through the snow talking, and I'm like, oh my god, man. And then you got these two kids, these two brothers that are just fighting. They're obnoxious kids. And I don't even know the point of them in this film. Like, it's just they're shooting BB guns, and the older guy got a 22 from his dad, so he's showing it off. but they're just shooting themselves. Not shooting themselves, shooting in the woods trying to hunt,
Oh.
and it's just pointless. It goes on, and you're like, man, and then the villain in this ain't even that menacing. He's this corporate guy that wants to capture the Bigfoot and bring it and make money off it, but he doesn't even do it right. He's just like, he's constantly just abusing these two drunk guys that work for him, just verbally abusing them throughout the film. And after that, it just, like I said, with these two kids, I said maybe it'll lead up to them getting munched by the Bigfoot, so just shut them up. But not even that. Like the fucking Bigfoot picks one of the kids, walks 5 feet, and puts him back on the ground, and then leaves. And I'm like,
gotta scare them somehow.
I'm like, the kid even thinks he's adorable for that. I'm like, what? Why would you even do that? But yeah, it's a big mess. There is a comment from Lloyd Kaufman where he says that this film is one of his 5 worst films out of the Troma film. His bottom 5, and I could see why. And
does he have a cameo?
No.
Oh.
He kind of like doesn't even want to claim the film. It seems like on his comments.
Oh my god.
He's like, this is at the bottom of my library. I hardly even talk about this nowadays. And he's like trying to deny it's even a Troma film, but it is. This is possibly the worst Bigfoot film I've ever seen, and I love Bigfoot films. But I'm gonna get into my rating. I'm gonna give this a 1.5 out of 5.
Ooh.
And I've never gone that low on a film.
I've gone low way. Tonight, actually, I've gone low way.
Yeah.
But what's the 0.5 for? What positive thing do you have?
It's gonna be George Buck Flower, dude. I just love seeing him in films, so. And he's a drunk in this film too, so it's.
He got a paycheck, so it's good.
Yeah. I mean, he's pissing off a bunch of guys at the bar where they want to beat him up. He's like throwing beer at him and stuff, so that's where the 0.5 comes at. But other than that, this is a snooze fest. I can't recommend it, man. It's Capture a Bigfoot from 1979.
So this is 70s, okay, so.
Yeah.
That's the, aside from Toxic Avenger, that's kind of the era of financial failures.
I have one more thing. The growling of the Bigfoot sounds like a guy that's coughing up when he's choking or something. It's so bad.
That's how Suburban Sasquatch is. It's a guy going wah 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 wah. It sounds
His growl's
bad.
literally like someone like they're choking. Like that. I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's so bad, dude.
Well, now I know what to avoid.
Yeah.
Movie.
And the Bigfoot's growling, it just sounds like a guy that's like stretching, like he just woke up. Yeah, like you're like, what the? But yeah, possibly my worst Bigfoot film of all time. I'm not gonna lie. And I've seen some bad ones.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all I got to see on that film. I'm surprised I even talked that much about it.
Well, I have a really boring one also that was a bit of a snooze fest for me, but this was, I think, his very first produced movie, which I did not know until I was actually watching it. So I was like, this is really old. This is 1971. This is a really shitty movie that I don't like called Cry Uncle. And there's a big ball sack and also breasts hanging down. I don't know which one it's supposed to be. Or the back, actually. I see the little thing here. Kind of way. You can kind of see it's like a butt crack. So it could be balls, breasts, or... But, hey, it's all...
They're just all hanging, pretty much.
Yeah, it's all there. But, this was one of his first produced movies, which I did not know starting out. This was one of the ones that, I guess I hinted at. It was this movie and, I just deleted the history lesson. Whatever the other one was. It was, that movie and this movie were his first ones. This was not directed by him. This was directed by the guy who directed Rocky. They were friends, apparently. And apparently he's in Rocky. They don't say where, but apparently he has a credit.
Oh, well.
and he was the location manager for Rocky. So thankfully, I just picked up those movies last month, I guess. So I need to keep my eye out for his name in the credits and see where he is.
Yeah.
But this movie is basically about. It starts off with a narration, just like your shitty 1950s sci-fi movies, where he's. The narration is just like a black screen and a like text, and it's like our main investigator guy. I didn't even write his name down because he's the most boring guy ever. It's like he's about to have the most bizarre murder investigation ever. And then you cut to this guy, this investigator, fucking his niece. And she's like, oh, uncle, I love you. And he's like, just fucking each other. Full frontal for both of them. And then he gets a phone call, and his nephew is like, uncle, you gotta go to the airport. There's a woman there asking for you. And he's like, who? He's like, just go there. And the niece is like, okay, fine, go then. He's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, whatever. And pulls out a vibrator and starts using it, and it cuts away. And I'm like, yeah, this is a Troma movie. This is very nonsensical. So he shows up to the airport, and he's like trying to talk to the woman that he thinks is who he's supposed to talk to. And it ends up she's not. And she starts screaming, freaking out, tearing her own shirt, and all this stuff to like show that like he's a predator and like all this stuff. And police are like, oh my god, and like arrest him. And conveniently in his pocket he has a bunch of porno novels, and he's like, yeah, I bet you're a creep. And he's like, no, this is just for entertainment. And he's like, I know you're not. And it's like they're just having all this sort of weird dialogue with the police at the airport. And the police are super sleazy and just not letting the actual woman, she shows up like at that same scene while this other woman's freaking out. And she's like, no, it is me that he's looking for. And they're like, no, you're not hot enough, and like all this stuff. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? This movie has like no pacing. But what? Oh yeah, okay. There's okay. I thought this was autocorrect, but no, I'm right. There's a lot of hee-haw humor in this movie where they're like, oh, gee whiz. And like all this stuff while saying like, fuck you, piece of shit. And it's like tonal whiplash for the dialogue because they're like, oh, gee whiz, Gallagher's Batman.
That's what I was thinking, Batman.
Like, it's so bad. And then they go, God, fuck you. And the woman at one point calls somebody a bill trot or bull trot. I don't know. I wrote it down because I was like, that's weird, and I forgot about it. And then she says it to our main character, and he stands there, and he's like, what's a bull trot? Is that a trot of a bull? Was that a bull with a trot? A woman bull? He stands there for like 10 seconds, just wondering aloud to the camera. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, move on. There's a murder to investigate. But they end up meeting this weird rich millionaire who owns a giant boat, and they're like, we gotta go find him. It's really hard to find him. He's never been seen in the public. And meanwhile, in the background, there's like a 2-mile long fucking boat. And they're like, where could this billionaire ever be? Meanwhile, this fucking boat in the background. And at one point they go, I bet he's in there. And they just go there, and he's there. And he's like, hey guys. And they like figure out more of the details about the murder. And apparently he records his own pornos with like all his waitresses on his boat.
Oh shit.
And they talk about how like having a big dick is like so awesome. And our main character is like, yeah, I know what having a big dick is like. And he's like, oh yeah, you don't have a big dick at all, is what like the millionaire says. And he's feeling up the woman that our main character is like having a fun little investigation with. And the whole time our uncle character is trying to introduce his nephew, while this creeper millionaire is like undressing this woman and like touching her all over. And the nephew is like, oh gee, oh, this is so hot. Is it hot in here? Oh boy. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? But Lloyd Kaufman does show up. They put no attention on him at all. I missed him. Like, totally. He showed up in the credits, and I was like, oh. And it said, like, he was gangster number 2 or something. And I was like, I don't remember any gangsters in this movie. So I must have been on my phone during this part. But they at one point are trying to figure out who the victims are of this murder. And they're like, and the millionaire is like, she looks familiar. I think I fucked her. And our main character is like, you shot pornos, right? We should watch those and investigate. And so they all sit down. The uncle, the millionaire, the woman, and the nephew all sit down together in a dark room and watch these pornos together of this old-ass, crusty old man fucking all these young women. And he's like, my dick is much bigger than that on the camera. Like, I don't know why it looks so small there. Like, it's much bigger. And I hated... I didn't hate this movie, but this movie was just all over the place. It was a little too long. I think they should have trimmed down like 10 minutes of it. Maybe 15. And this was an hour and 20 minutes. So it was really short. I was kind of shocked that we got a lot of nudity in this film. Because this is 1971. I mean, I guess sure. It's right after summer of 69. But like... I was just kind of shocked to see a movie that looked like it was made in the 50s, having full frontal male and female nudity. Like, everything was in view. And I was like, yeah, I can see why this was made by Troma. Because it was made for $2, and they were able to use this guy's boat, I guess. I don't know whose boat it was. This movie has next to no... information.
It was Kaufman's boat, man. No, I don't know.
There's no way that he had that boat. They made that movie for like $1,000, but that movie still lost money apparently, which was kind of funny to me. So they made it for like, I think it was like $1,000. They said that the movie cost. But yeah, I didn't care for it at all. It's not bad, but it's no budget. Awful acting. The end of the movie is the uncle approaching the niece and be like, now where were we? And it says, the end. So.
That's so Troma, dude, right there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I think after he did this movie, he was like, okay, I want to go for that from now on. Because all his Troma movies have that exact tone. And it's shocking to me that the guy who directed Rocky directed this movie. Like, it was his first movie he made with his best pal, Lloyd Kaufman. And I was just like, what is going on?
I guess you gotta start somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what was that movie? Curfew from the Vinegar Syndrome, the guy who made Charlotte's Web. Like, that was his first movie. It was like, what the fuck? It's just like, why are these people always doing these weird... Like, Curfew's not that weird. But, like, Cry Uncle, I think, was a little too weird for me. But it was fun. It's fun describing it. I had more fun talking about it than I did actually watching it. It's not fun to watch.
That's how I was with the Bigfoot movie. It was more fun talking about it than actually watching it.
I don't even know if there's a good release of this movie. But I posted on my letterbox about it, and a few people commented saying how awesome it was. So I don't know what I'm missing. Like,
oh, shit.
They were like, oh, man, you need to look it up. And I was like, I did look it up. It was his first movie that he produced. Like, that's really all the details
I'd probably do the Bigfoot, and there'd be fans of it, too, saying it's one of the greatest.
I'm looking up see if there's any like good releases of this movie, because I doubt there is. Like, I would be shocked. Grindhouse, really? I don't believe that. Oh, there's no Blu-ray. Haha. So that's another upgrade that's needed.
Nice.
Well, I don't know if it's needed, but for historical sake, I think Lloyd Kaufman would be happy if it had a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If people are saying it's awesome, there's probably going to be some people out there waiting for it. I'm sure.
I guess I need to give a rating 3 out of 5, honestly. That's average for me. It's not bad.
Yeah.
The movie that I saw earlier tonight, I gave it a 1. It's probably the only movie I will ever give a 1 to. I never give 1s. 2s I give if the movie's like annoying or bad or whatever, but this movie deserves a 3 at the most. I don't do halves.
That's respectful, so I'm gonna have to watch it just to see it.
It's on Amazon Prime. That's where I saw it.
Nice. I'll look out for it for sure, man.
So it's your turn.
All right. So we're gonna get into the second film. Another first watch for me. Let me see if I could. I noticed I didn't show the movie last time, so I'll show this one. If I can find it.
I'm excited for the rest of my movies because I like them. Well, one of them I love, but yeah.
Yeah, these ones are gonna be up for me now, up a notch. So my second film is gonna be from 1987. Ooh, there's a glare, man. I don't know if you can see that. Surf Nazis Must Die.
Oh yeah, that just got a Vinegar Syndrome release, I think.
It got a release now. Yeah. And this is like post-apocalyptic action exploitation all mixed in one. So this is right up my alley. So this one's basically about a post-apocalyptic future, and I'd compare this to like a B movie of warriors, but set in a beach setting, because the gangs are on surfboards and they're like running through California, and the most menacing gang is known as the Surf Nazis, and it's hilarious because half the people in the gang are like dark skinned and they're with Adolf Hitler symbols and doing the hurrah and all. So it's like, it's real straight out of Troma. But they're the most deadliest gang. They're wreaking havoc. They want to take over the whole coast, I guess, the whole beach area. They're selling their drugs. They're pimping women, trying to just take over everything, and they're battling other gangs. You got like a kind of like a Japanese samurai gang. It's pretty cool. They're on surfboards. And then you got like I don't know what they are. They just have like this green paint on them. I don't know what gang they're supposed to be or whatever, but
it's the weird one.
Anyways, they're terrorizing the area. They're robbing old ladies, doing all the worst things you could probably do. And they run into this guy, man. He's a black guy, and he's real humble. He's like the good type guy. He's tough. He's the built dude. He witnesses one of their gangs robbing a lady. He's taking her purse around the beach, and he gets that kid and picks him up pretty much and tells him give her the purse back. But what he doesn't know is part of that Surf Nazis gang, so they end up getting in a scuffle, and he ends up getting killed.
Oh. I thought that was our main character.
it looked like, but he's not. So goes back to his mom, and she's the religious lady with a Bible, that church going woman, and that was her life, her son. So she flips out. She's on a rampage. So she goes to this pawn shop and buys all this armory, and she's like,
oh my god.
she's going on a rampage to get revenge for her son. So she gets grenades, fucking automatics, the whole nine. She's like, pretty much, give me grenades, give me this. I want explosions. We're going to war or whatever. And this guy's like flipping out on her, man. And she like tells him some stuff. You don't give me this, I'm gonna cut your what off. So he's like real terrified of her and gives her whatever she wants. Um. Anyways, it goes through the battle there. You got the gang of Nazis. They have the swastika, whatever symbol, and it's like written in marker on their face, and it's backwards.
Oh, it's like the Buddhist symbol then. Well, the
Yeah,
Hindu. Yeah.
it has a meaning to it, meaning the reverse of that is what I read. um, but the leader of it is funny because his name's Adolf, like Adolf, but he's Adolf because through the whole film they're like, "Hey, Adolf," they say they really point out that they're like, "What do we do?" They follow him, so they have to go ask him. What he smacks them up, he'll cut their finger. He's a real evil leader, you know what I mean? They don't fuck with him pretty much. But they anyways, this is the director's cut that I watched. It's got about 10 minutes of additional gore in it. I mean, you got like when they're fighting the Japanese clan, they're just like you'll see like a little more like blood spray or whatever on it, like gore.
The Troma gore.
Yeah, but man, this film's a lot of fun, dude. It's a revenge film, and it's cool because like she's referred to as Mama, the black lady that killed her son, and she's living in like an old folks home, and she has like grenades and fucking automatics under her bed, and there's like a nurse watching her. She's like, "Get out of my room," or whatever. She's all, you weren't worth the shit anyways. Like slaps her out of the room. She's like, the nurse will like, "Fuck you then." She's like, "You'll never have a job anyways. You weren't worth the shit." She tells the nurse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She the kill effects are pretty impressive. I was real impressed with the gore effects. You have some decapitated heads, arms flying off, limbs. You get the whole nine on the gore on this one, and soundtrack is awesome. It's 80s vibe through the whole thing, and you got she's called Mama, the lady. She's driving the boat, man, just looking for revenge. She has like, her grenades on her side and her guns. It's a lot of fun. And I got a quote from the film here that she tells to the leader, Adolf. No, she tells him Adolf. She's like, "Taste some of Mama's home cooking, Adolf." She tells him like that before she's coming for him. And he's like,
that's an action line.
That's an action line, yeah. And I feel this movie couldn't be made to this day because it has a lot of racial comments in it towards black and white. They're just going at each other with the racial. But yeah, I could see this one being on a B movie late night, man. Just a lot of fun. Turn off your brain and enjoy. But yeah, I hadn't seen this one. I'm glad I did. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I looked up the Blu-ray of it, and it's pretty awful, I've heard. Oh, I read just now. It came out in last month, actually. And it said it has pretty bad audio, pretty bad restoration, all this stuff. And I'm like, no. I thought that was a Vinegar Syndrome movie, but it wasn't. That's a different Seth movie.
I could see this one getting released by Vinegar Syndrome, since they're releasing a lot of Troma shit. But
this was actually one of the higher budget ones, because I've heard of this one.
This film's a lot of fun, man. I actually looked at it and thought because I watch trailers, I know you don't. I thought it was all stupid, the trailer. I was like, no, I can't. Then when I turned on the movie, I was like, this is pretty fucking bad, dude. I like it. The music just sucks you in, dude. It's got that exploitation music in it. These guys, like I watched from Vinegar Syndrome Surf 2.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, yeah.
This is like a better version of that film, like what it should have been.
I heard that one was pretty awful.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad. I still enjoyed it. I had fun with it, but it's a bad movie. But yeah, I'd recommend this if you're a fan of like action exploitation or revenge films, period. It's a revenge story.
And it should be noted it's on the higher end of Troma.
It's on the higher end, yes. It's one of the top ones. And it's cheesy as fuck, dude, but worth the watch.
Well, nice.
That's pretty much all I got on that film.
What year was that? 87, you said?
1987, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Later 80s.
So that's around the time where they almost foreclosed. Or filed for bankruptcy, I mean.
Oh, wow. That film must have sold something. It had to have.
Yeah, because I think it was Class of Nuke Em High where they spent $250,000 on that movie and made back like 20,000, I think.
Oh, wow.
Because that was one of the big ones that really tanked them, and Lloyd Kaufman was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna let anybody make a movie," and that's why you have a lot of shitty movies. But I mean, they're still around, so.
Respect.
So my second movie is one that I didn't care for at all until the ending. This is not Beware Children at War, whatever that movie's called.
Oh, man.
This is a 2010 movie, so it's on the really bad era of anybody could grab a camera and shoot with the, with Grandma's Home Movies kind of looking. But this is called Clown Camp Massacre.
Oh, man.
I ended up watching...
I almost chose that one.
Oh, yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I actually watched that and then Slumber Party Massacre 2 afterwards. And I was like, oh shit, I did like 2 of the exact same movies because it has the same cover, except it's a clown feet or whatever.
Oh, well.
But let me pull my notes up.
I love Slumber Party Massacre too, man.
I love that
cheesy.
movie. Oh, I haven't seen this movie in like 2 weeks because I thought I forgot we were doing that every other week when I saw this. But this begins with a shot-on-video footage of a deranged man holding the camera, so you can't see it. It's like first-person view. And he's showing the clown school to his mom. He's like, "Hey, Mom, I'm here at clown school." And he's like just walking through the hallway and just like filming, clown school. And he's like, "Here's where I go to cry when I'm alone. And here's where I go to do my animals." And like he walks in, he's like, "Here's my shitty roommate," and he like cuts his throat and kills him. And then he just goes through the school and just starts killing people slowly but surely. And there were some really disgusting kills in this intro, which I kind of liked. But the opening credits is what started the entire tone for me. It is the most low-budget intro I've ever seen in the history of film. It is literally just like shot on video, like the movie is happening, and you have like red art, like text popping up, like directed by, produced by, cast, all of that. Except it's like made with Windows Movie Maker, like free software, and it looks so awful. And he's like flipping through the TV and watching all these different channels, which is like everything is clown based in this world. And I don't know why. I mean, I know why, because the movie is Clown Camp Massacre. But the main character is getting pretty angry watching the show because there's a commercial that keeps running where we see a really high profile clown who is like famous internationally that I've never heard of, so it's not a real clown, but he's kind of like, "Come on down to clown camp, like we'll teach you everything, how to do this and this and this." And so he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna show him I'm a better clown." And so he drives to this, so he's on the way to camp, and he picks up a random woman clown like on the side of the highway. And she's like, "Hey, are you going to clown camp too?" And he's like, "Fuck yeah." And then he like drives out into the middle of a cornfield and starts driving in like circles. And she's like, "Oh no, I don't like how this feels." And he's like, "Oh, this is nothing." Turns on nitrous boost and starts going really fast in circles. And her body explodes. And I think she dies through centrifugal force, where when you spin around really fast, it like you get stuck to the wall. Like it's those rides at the carnival. I guess that's what they were going for, and her body just explodes, but it's like a really shitty effect, like a CGI effect, where it's just a puff of red, and it's like, okay, end scene, and like that's all we have of that character. And then So he gets to camp, and he's just kind of hanging around, talking to the other clowns, and there's a really hot woman there who's trying to become a clown. She's going to be the best there is. Ends up that she's the granddaughter of the really old clown host of this entire camp. And apparently her lifelong dream has always been to be a better clown than her grandfather. Because when she was growing up, he would beat her every night with a whip and then rape her when she was growing up. And I guess she got like super into the clown stuff because that's like her lifelong goal. And she's like, I'm gonna show him. And so there's a guy who has a crush on her. He's actually our main protagonist, because the clown killer who ended up killing everyone in the beginning of the movie, he's kind of the antagonist, slowly picking people off. But he gives her a penis balloon, and she's like, ew, this is disgusting. He's like, no, it's a sword, and flips it around and starts like at the camera. And it's really awful. But
Oh shit.
we get a fun campfire story scene where Edwin, our main clown killer, gets his backstory. He's no longer around. He's just kind of killing people off one by one. And apparently he was at camp like when it first started in the first year. And he was never able to make people laugh. And so for the final performance, he really tried to make everybody laugh. But this is the 2010 is when this was made, so everybody has a cell phone. And so as he's performing his super nice clown trick, somebody's phone goes off and he just goes fucking berserk and starts killing everybody. And somebody at one point throws a pie at his face and is like, get out of here, idiot. And then that unleashes his killer fucking instinct because he starts killing everybody. And then the storyteller just randomly is like, okay, I'm going to start rapping the backstory of this clown, and starts rapping. And then another camper's like beatboxing.
Oh, shit,
and I'm
man.
like, what is going on? Like, I kind of did not care for this movie at all at this point. But it was slowly growing on me. But, a peeping Tom is killed at some point of the movie because he's watching someone, like, having sex with the granddaughter. I think it's the crush and the granddaughter. They finally get together. And the peeping Tom is killed by Edwin, our clown killer, with a throat slash. And as he's bleeding out, he's still, like, masturbating to the two people fucking. And he comes all over himself. And that's the scene. He dies. And then
He died a happy man.
yeah. But after that, we get the giant ending, which is really fucking twisty, and it really made the movie for me. It kind of, because there's a lot of weird things going on through this movie, which I haven't even discussed, which I won't, because it's spoilery. But it explains all of the weird choices in that movie. I kind of really liked the ending a lot. Borderline loved it, so it kind of bumped it up to a 4 for me. But
Nice.
there's an amazing Lloyd Kaufman cameo at the end. He's there for like 15 minutes, and he's just going as a commercial hostess, I guess. And he is hilarious. He is just going off. He's doing his thing. And then the movie ends, and it's fine. It's great. So
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna ask
Camp
you.
Massacre.
He wasn't the guy that threw the pie, Kaufman. I thought you'd have been. The
Oh,
guy that threw
no.
the pie. Get the fuck out of here.
I was rating all movies. I was like, okay, this is 2010. Where's Lloyd Kaufman? Where is he? Because his name is like the first one that popped up in the credits for like actors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, obviously he's gonna be a main character. He didn't show up until the end, and he never left after he showed up. He just
Nice.
stayed for like 10 minutes, just going off, just bam, 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 like explaining the entire plot. So, I don't know. The movie was okay until the ending, where it just remade everything awesome. Because all
Nice.
the kills are amazing, but everything in between is kind of like, okay, like. Oh, there's also a drill sergeant clown who is telling everyone what to do. And he has a pet monkey who ends up being like one of the final survivors of like the staff. And so they go up to class or whatever. I guess it's like the balloon blowing class. And it's just like 3 campers and the monkey. And the monkey is like screeching and hollering. And the subtitles on the bottom was like, all right, guys, we gotta go get bananas. And like, that's the scene. Because there are no campers left. They've all been murdered. And all the instructors have been murdered too. And it's just this monkey and like 2 staff members. And I think it's the granddaughter and the main protagonist. So it's really bizarre.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Sounds right up my alley right there. I gotta watch this one.
I don't know
I
if
like
it made
killer
any
clowns.
money. I don't even think there's a Blu-ray of it.
I was sold on clowns alone, and then the kills will even up it more for me.
I'm trying to find the year that this movie was made. I forgot to write it down.
Oh yeah,
Oh, the Clown Camp Massacre is 2010. The movie I'm holding right now for my number 1. I can't remember what year it came out.
oh okay.
You gotta look it up.
I was gonna say you said around 2010 on that one.
Yeah. So I thought it was gonna be really shitty, and I was like, no, it's Clown Camp Massacre. It's gotta be something. Oh, 1996. Fuck yeah. Okay.
96, mid 90s, nice.
That's for my last
I'm gonna look.
one. Okay.
I'm gonna look out for that one because I'm a sucker for killer clown movies. I love them.
It's on the Amazon Prime. So I just
I'll
typed
check
in
it out.
Trauma, and that was one of the first ones.
I had it on my list. I almost watched that one, but I skipped it.
Yeah, I
But
enjoyed it. It was fun. The ending makes
nice,
up for it. What's the
awesome.
one?
Let's get into the final one here, and it's already been brought up by you. So, so Class of Nuke 'Em High.
Oh, okay.
I think I fucking put the year on it, dude. What year is it?
That's like 95, I think.
It's got to be 80s.
I haven't
Is
seen
it?
it. Class of Nuke. 86. Okay, I was 10 years off.
I was thinking it was 80s. Yeah. Yeah, 86. I didn't even put the year down. All right. This one's one of the top films from Troma. This was a rewatch for me because I hadn't seen it in years. I forgot it because I get confused with Class of Nuke 'Em High and Class of 1984.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
two films just confuse the shit out of me. But um, yeah, this one's. I'm gonna start off here is about the film. You probably know this, but
I
a
haven't
leak of
seen it.
nuclear. Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, okay, so a leak of nuclear waste in the power plant infests a high school nearby, and it goes through the water stream, and it pretty much high school students start drinking it. You have this like nerdy kid that just drinks it. They're always picking on him, and he just fucking explodes, dude. You see him go just to pretty much like not explode, but melts down, and he goes down to a complete skeleton with like gunk all over him. I thought it was a real cool effect. But anyways, you got the corrupt owner of the plant who doesn't want to be known for this. He don't want to shut down, so he pretty much tells all his workers deny everything that happened, say we're all right, whatever. But meanwhile, the nuclear plant is going to this high school and pretty much infesting the high school, and it takes place in Tromaville. You got it with a nuclear plant and the high school, that weird atmosphere that we love. But it does more than that. So finally, you got this group. I guess they're the honor students, and they turn renegades. So they're like got this real punk rock look. They're bullying everyone in the school, you got like a nympho in a nymphomaniac girl that just gets the nerd and starts pretty much making out with him and pleasuring him all over down there, and then all of a sudden after that she's stomping him down there. She turns violent, and all of them are kicking him in the nuts multiple times on the floor and beating him and pretty much bullying everyone around him. Um, but they say that we need to make money, so they say let's sell pot. It starts selling weed around the school. But what they don't know is the nuclear waste landed in the pot.
Oh no.
So the the pot's contaminated. So then you got these two goody two shoe couple. I mean, you got the boyfriend who's real horny, and then you got the girlfriend who won't give it up to him. She's like, no, no, that's bad. You know what I mean? And they're
Gotta
just
wait
real.
till marriage.
And then you got his friends who are trying to get her wasted so he could get some. So they offer this pot. So both of them smoke the pot, but what they don't know is it's got the nuclear waste in it. So they take the pot in, and the girl gets really horny. It got her. So he actually does get lucky,
Oh.
and his friends are proud. They're like, "Yeah, we helped him out, our buddy." And then as they get home, you got like this real dream sequence where she's dreaming about he got laid. He's all happy. He's like touching himself in his sleep, and yeah, I got. And all of a sudden, the nuclear waste takes over, and you see him get this huge boner, dude, where like his whole blanket's just fucking erupting, dude. But what it turns out to be a nightmare scene or something. It's not real, or maybe I don't know. I can't tell if it was or not. But he starts to realize some was in that pot, man. Why am I tripping out with her? And then he goes to the girlfriend. She's hearing in her voice her mom saying, "Don't get pregnant. You go do that, you're gonna get pregnant, whatever." And her belly just blows up, and you see
Oh
like
my
this
god.
tail come out of her belly, like a mutant tail. And she's like screaming and all this, and then she wakes up and it's like, oh, it was a nightmare. It's not really happening, or was it? So they get back, they're like, they put some in our pot, so they start to like tell the gang, what the fuck did you do to us or what? And they're like, you bought from us, it's all legit, whatever. So don't come back to me or whatever. And it's just real hilarious. But anyways, it pretty much turns a boyfriend into this. This is where I got it close to Toxic Avenger, because he turns into this kind of mutated hero. His face is all just erupting with bubbles, and he goes to fight the gang, and he's taking them out. There's a real awesome kill where he punches one of the guys, and his whole fist goes through the guy's throat.
Ooh.
And it's real good practical effects. And he starts a war with his gang, so they want payback. They're like, who does he think he is? He's a goody two shoe. We'll take him out, whatever. And they finally pretty much plan to capture his girlfriend and hold her ransom to have a showdown. But let me rewind a little bit. We got Chrissy with the birth. She actually is pregnant, but they say at the hospital she had a miscarriage. So we go back to the school thing. She throws up like a turd looking thing. It just comes out of her mouth and goes in the toilet and turns into like a creature. It looks like a green turd just floating around with eyes or whatever. And goes down the sewage, goes into the basement of the school, and becomes this big old mutated fucking creature. And it's just picking people off through the school one by one in some gruesome ways. I mean, you get a guy get swallowed and his arm just spit out. You just see his arm fly out, moving with nerves and awesome effects. But yeah, it's funny because when they tell the mom's all yelling at, "I told you not to be doing that. That's why you're pregnant," or whatever to Chrissy, and then she's all, what did she say? Says some shit. That's what you get for spreading your legs. I don't know, or some. And this doctor hears him, and he just has this cup of urine and throws it in a doctor's face, and you see like the urine go in the doctor's mouth and everything. It's real like, oh man, disturbing. But yeah, they that's pretty much. I don't want to get into too much more since you haven't seen it there, but the creature grows enormous. I had that down. Um, what I read there was the creature was never shown in full because they didn't have the whole suit, so they had to show the creature like in different angles or pretty much use it as a puppet. So
Oh.
you'll see like arm scenes where his arms getting extended, or you'll see like a side view of him where they just have like pretty much neck to face. You won't see the whole creature in full form.
It's like
But
in From Beyond.
yeah, similar to that. But pretty much this film was an instant hit. You know about it. It sold it. They made this film with $400,000, and they doubled or tripled that,
Oh wow.
and it's known as a cult classic to this day. But that's pretty much the film I could get into there. I mean, I love this film. I'm gonna give this one a 4.5 out of 5. It's one of my top films next to Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, it's funny
But
because that scene of the woman flushing the baby or whatever down. That's the entire movie of the suckling, which I don't know if
oh
you've
yeah,
seen that from
yeah, I've
Vinegar.
seen The Suckling.
It is so disgusting. Oh my god. I watched that like on a whim one day. It just like ruined my day. I love the movie, but I was just like I was not ready for that movie because she gets an abortion and they just drop the baby and they like stuff it down the toilet and flush it down and then falls into a conveniently placed nuclear waste pool and it like comes back alive and the little baby thing like it's like
That's an awesome effect too.
that movie haunts my dreams. And that movie's like from the early 80s, I think. It's like really old.
Yeah. And on that one, it's a fetus. This one, it comes out of her mouth. She like throws it up. It comes out like a turd, like a little turd with a tail. Just, oh, it's real disgusting.
But I guess I'll stop my final.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is one that nobody will be surprised about. Well, anyone who knows me will not be surprised. This is the 1996 movie Killer Condom.
Oh, no way.
I absolutely love this
getting
movie.
A treat here, man.
Oh yeah. I actually have a little note card here that puts down how many times I've seen it. Just how many times I've seen this copy. I've seen it 3 or 4 times before this. And I've seen this DVD 6 times now. And it's starting to skip, but not on the commentary track, which I listened to. I did not know there was a commentary track on this release, because this is like a full DVD release of Killer Condom. It's a German film from 1996, directed by Martin Waltz. There's a commentary track with him and Jorg Bootgeleit, who is the special effects advisor guy. And fun fact, but H.R. Geiger was the creative consultant, and they have that there in this right there, H.R. Geiger.
Oh yeah.
I did not realize how much influence he had on this movie. I'll get into that at the end. But this is based off a graphic novel that became like the biggest graphic novel in Germany. I don't know how it became that huge. Everybody knew Der Glauens des Condom, which is the killer condom in German. I was listening to the commentary track because I had no idea, and I need to know everything there is to know about this movie, about the #1 movie in film history. And as they were talking in English, thankfully, this was when the DVD was coming out back in like 2002 or something. But they talk about Troma in the commentary track, and they're like, "Come on, guys, please buy the DVD." And I'm sitting here like, can y'all do a Blu-ray? Because there's no Blu-ray of this. The DVD is completely sold out. It was sold out when I got it, and I got it for $25, which is a hefty amount for a DVD. I refuse to pay that much for some Blu-rays out there, let alone a DVD. And the DVD is now $80. So it's jumped like triple than what I paid. And I'm never going to get rid of it. I will never flip it unless a Blu-ray comes out. But even then, that's just 2 copies of Killer Condom I can own. But they talk about the casting in this movie. Apparently, they were all really huge German actors that, like, everybody knew. And all of them were, like, serious actors. None of them did comedies. And apparently, the director was just completely baffled the entire shooting of this movie. Because he was saying all these great, you know, older actors who have been in film, you know, forever and ever. And they were in, like, all the classic, like, Shakespeare plays and all this stuff. And then, like, they all said yes to Kill a Condom. And they were like, we had no money at all for this movie. And so they went there for money. They went there because of they needed, you know, a resume booster or anything. They were all very well developed actors with, like, long careers. And they said in the beginning of the movie, we start off with a school teacher, like a high school teacher. There's a senior girl who got a C or something. It's not going to get into her number one college that she wants to go to unless she passes this test, which she failed. But this high school teacher was like, meet me at this hotel or whatever. It ends up being a brothel. And he's like, I'll give you an A minus, I think is the grade that she needs. And he's like, I'll give you that if you have sex with me. And she's like, oh, I don't want to, you know, crying and doing all this stuff. And finally she does it. And he's like, oh, I've been waiting years for this, which I'm like, ew, no, get out here. Get out of here with my fun Killer Condom film. But that's kind of our intro to the Killer Condom, because he's like, hey, the government is giving us free condoms. Like, oh, that must cost them billions of dollars giving us free condoms, and we'll use it. And so he grabs a killer condom, and I just spoiled it, but it's a killer condom, and it bites his dick off. And during this whole time, the woman who's acting, apparently they wrote in the script that when she screams, she goes scream, or no, she goes scream, or whatever when she screams. And when she's crying, she goes weep, 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 but in German, so we don't know what she's saying. And he said, the director said that was kind of his fun with the German language for American audiences, because this movie takes place in New York, but is shot in Berlin, except for like 2 shots where they actually got to New York. And I'll talk about that part now. So there's one actual shot of New York in the beginning of the movie, and not another one until the very last shot. The first one is them walking into a police station and just filming in a real police station in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And apparently the director went up to the sergeant or whoever's in charge of the entire station and was like, hey, we're filming a documentary. We want to do some live reenactments. Can we just shoot here real quick? And they were like, yeah, whatever. You get the fuck out of here, is how he describes it. And he was like, okay, everybody go. And they were like, we got to hunt the killer condom down. And they just shot the film. And you can see in the background all the police officers are like, what? Because they had no idea that they were going to be talking about killer condoms and all this stuff. Like, they said it was the most guerrilla filmmaking they've ever done in their life. Because there's another part where our main character, Luigi Macaroni, he's a gay police officer who is kind of investigating the killer condom. His intro is him in a cab, and the camera's in the cab and they're driving along, and then he gets out of the cab and he walks across traffic, and the cameraman is in the road, and you see all these cars swerving around the camera guy, and he's following our main character as he's brooding, and he's got a cigarette It's like a classic, policeman from like a 1930s noir film. And he's like, oh, New York City's so sleazy, it's full of perverts and, this, that, and the other. And you hear, like, everybody's honking at him. There are people yelling at him to get off the road and, like, all this stuff. And so he finally gets to the sidewalk, and the camera guy is following, Macaroni. And you see all these people, walking by the camera, looking straight at the camera, like, what are you doing? And it's so bad. And the directors are like, we only had one shot. Like, we had to film it and go. So we tried to do long takes so we would get as much as we could done so we could get to the next scene. And so after that scene, we get our famous, like, oh my gosh, there's a killer condom on the loose. Oh, that's bullshit. This woman didn't bite a dick off. Oh, no. The killer condom didn't castrate the guy. The student bit the guy's dick off. And the parents of the girl has flown down from Farmville, South Dakota, or whatever, or Montana. Oh, no, it's Farmville, Oklahoma. And they said that the parents' entire character was like a joke on all of the American movies that they watch, where they're supposed to be in Paris or like Berlin or whatever, and they say like, hello, now okay, and then they start speaking English the rest of the movie. And so they wanted to make fun of that by having like, oh, there's the Farmville guy from Indiana or Oklahoma, and they speak English for like half a sentence, and then they just go into German the rest of the time. But after they decide to go hunting after the killer condom, our lovely main character, Macaroni, he goes to the brothel and he's talking to the most classic German actor of all time, who's like 80 years old now, and he plays the brothel owner. And he's like, oh, we get free boxes of condoms, and it's amazing. And, this, that, and the other. And he finds, Macaroni finds an ex-police officer who is now identifying as a woman doing lip syncing like Marilyn Monroe, where she's on the piano and she's singing and lip syncing. And this is when we hear the song Killing Them Softly, that song. We hear that like 6 different times in the movie. Apparently, that's not even the original song that's supposed to be playing during this scene. So the lip syncing is totally off the entire way, because the producers were like, oh yeah, we can't do this German song. We don't have the rights to it. Buy the cheapest song you can. Okay, killing them softly without love. Killing them softly. That song from the 80s. And the lip syncing is so awful because of that. And apparently the producers were like really like hardcore about changing the entire movie. So now, not only do we need a Blu-ray, but we need the director's cut of the movie, because they have all this footage, and they talk about this. They have the original footage. They have all this, extra material that they had to cut out. And I'm like, fucking release it. Release that shit now. Like, because the entire commentary track is them complaining about all this cut stuff with all the gore. This movie's supposed to be really fucking gory, apparently.
Oh, man.
And it's already gory. That's what, like, shocks me, because I was like, oh, yeah, it's a perfect movie. I've talked about that for years, about how just wonderful this movie is. And apparently there's a gorier cut out there. So maybe that's why we don't have a Blu-ray yet. Maybe that someone's trying to find it, because this was recorded in like 2002, I think they said. This commentary track, so it's been 20 years. Maybe it's gone now. I hope not. But apparently at one point of filming, they had so many famous actors on set that whoever they didn't call whatever famous actors that they didn't working with, those actors started calling them, just cold calling them, being like, hey, I was in this movie. Can I have a line? I want to be in Killer Condom. And like all this stuff. And it became this huge like sensation in Germany of every actor ever in this movie.
Robert Forster, man, come on. Put him on Killer Condom.
He may have been in there, but because the director talks about how he just kept pointing people out. He was like, oh yeah, there's that guy. He was in a John Ford movie. Oh, there's that guy. He was in a Wim Wenders film, like Wings of Desire, like one of the most famous like German movies ever. But so they kept like having all these people like just randomly signing up to be like actor number 2 and, you know, priest number 5 and whatever. And apparently when they were making the movie, they were like, hey, you gotta keep the rating at 12 and young or 12 and older, like that age, because they don't have like rated R or PG-13 or PG. They have like 18, 16, and 12 is kind of the 3 big ratings in Germany. And they said the producers told them to do a rated 12 movie. So 12-year-olds could go see it in theaters and make a lot of money for the producers. And they were like, we're making a movie about a killer condom. There's no way we can have it be at 12 years old, you know, for the rating. We'll do 16. And this was after they filmed it, so the original cut of the movie was 18. Like, nobody could watch it, like, unless you were an adult, basically. So, again, we need a restoration of that. We need the director's cut. As awesome as this cut is, I want to see that director's cut. That's one of the biggest wants in my life right now. But apparently they were almost given like a porn identifier for this movie, because there were many scenes where they had a lot more shots of like sex and stuff like that. And apparently the castration scenes, there was like 30 castration scenes in this movie of all the killer condoms biting down. Apparently they had a lot more details to those scenes, and the producers were like, nope, and just took all of them out. And right before they released it in theaters, the editor like came back with the final cut that the producers had made, and he was so pissed off apparently, and like quit the movie because he was like, you just ruined this fucking film. And I'm kind of like, it's still pretty good. It's like still pretty awesome. Like, it didn't ruin it, but, you know, maybe if I ever see the director's cut, I will agree. But, there's a castration scene in the beginning of the movie with our main character, Luigi. He has the biggest dick ever. It is exactly 32 centimeters. They make a note of that. And he picks up, like, a young man at the brothel, and he's like, I want to have sex with you. I'm scoping out this killer condom. And that's kind of like around the time when he finds his trans ex-police officer, whose name was Bob, but now he's Bobette. And he says it like 50,000 times. My name is Bobette. Or Ich heiße Babette is how you say it in German. But
I wonder that's for Lorena Bobbitt. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. She chopped off the Oscar Mayer there, man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I thought you said that.
They didn't mention
famous
it.
for that.
Yeah. But
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah, our character Luigi actually gets castrated like right at the beginning of the movie. And apparently they were purposely doing the Jaws scene, which I don't remember which scene that they were doing, but they said that they wanted to copy Jaws or whatever and do a Spielbergian scene. And during the scene, we get a hilarious shadow of the guy's penis, because in the graphic novel, apparently they show his dick, his 32-inch, and it's all the way like this fucking big, like
Oh, verga.
giant.
Damn.
And in the movie, they were like, obviously, we're not going to make a prosthetic just for one scene. So instead, we're just going to put a dildo, like, in front of a lamp. And our lover of the main character, Luigi, he's kind of looking down at his dick. And you see him, our main character, like, fists on hips. And he's like exactly 32 inches, and you see the reverse shot of the lover. And you see the shadow slowly come up and cover his entire face. And he's like, yeah, that's a big dick. And so next, they start having sex, and our main character's kind of looking around, looking for the killer condom. And our other guy named Billy, they chose the most traditional American names ever on purpose, like Billy and Bob and like all these different people, except for our main character whose name is Luigi Macaroni, which is like the most stereotypical name I've ever heard.
Italian.
Yeah.
He's Italian.
Yeah, he's Sicily. He's from Sicily.
Yeah.
And they make a big point of that. But while he's looking around for the killer condom, he sees the killer condom like shimmying its way across the nightstand. And he's like, oh my god, there it is. And he reaches for it and it jumps away. And he's like, wee! Like jumps away and makes sounds. And he's like, hold it right there. And he's like holding his gun looking for the killer condom. And then he looks down and sees it, and before he could shoot it, it jumps up and bites his testicle off. And we don't see it, but we see him going, ah, and he like screams. And then we cut to the hospital scene where our main character is smoking in the hospital, which is like unheard of nowadays. But the guy comes in, he's like, oh my god, like, I can't believe your lover bit your dick off or whatever. And he's like, no, it was a killer condom. He's like, oh, you people are crazy. It wasn't a killer condom. And he gets a little better, goes to the police station. We have your classic, police officer, manager, lieutenant, I guess, yelling out at the two buddies of Macaroni and the other guy who's like Steve, I think. And he's like, y'all need to stop hunting after killer condoms. You're making us look like a joke. And then we have the best montage ever of like 60 people getting castrated by the killer condom. And a reporter writes about it and it's like, killer condom craze or whatever. And he's like, oh my god, y'all were right. Like, y'all need to stop this. Why didn't you stop this before the press got to it? And they're like, sir, you stopped us. Like, we couldn't talk about it. You wouldn't let us investigate. And the, during the mass castration scene, we get a director cameo. And he's, like, super young. He was, like, new blood. So, I guess, Troma yet again helped out with the getting new people on the block, because I've never heard of this guy before, but apparently he went on to do a lot of really fun stuff. But there was a fun, not magic trick, but there's a fun trick that our main actor, Udo something, not Udo Kier, is like Udo something. But apparently he could hold a cigarette in his mouth and smoke it while also drinking whiskey. And I never even noticed that. And he does that. And the commentators, like, talk about it. And they're like, oh yeah, he used to do that all the time. And we made him do it on camera because we thought it was so cool. But at some point, we do have an autopsy scene with a killer condom. They do capture it and kill it. And they have an autopsy scene, which they actually did the psycho shower scene with with the killer condom, which was a lot of fun, where Bobette comes over to Macaroni's house and is like, oh my god, the killer condom got your dick. Like, did it get all of it? I hope not. I hope you still have your monster dong or whatever. And apparently he brought in the killer condom on accident. And so they have like a fun, I guess, hunt in the apartment. And they kill it. They have autopsy. And apparently they had to reshoot it because they realized it was way too serious. And it was like way too Cronenberg-like. Because they wanted to make a Cronenberg killer condom movie.
Oh, wow.
But they said it was like, there was no way. Because there was a serious movie based off of Killer Condom that nobody liked. And so they were like, we're going to make a funny movie based off Killer Condom. And this one no one knows either, but I know it, so I'm preaching it. I'm looking for converts. But they talk about how there's a lot of shots missing. I've talked about that. There's one point where our main characters go to a gay bar in order to kind of try to get some rumors going about the killer condom and kind of scope out anyone who knows any information on it, because they can't find anything about the killer condom. And apparently they did shoot on location at a gay bar, which was interesting to listen to because they went into how positively this movie has been received by the gay community. And I've always assumed it had been, because this movie is very pro-sex, very inclusive, very anti-racist, like all these different things. And they say that the main star who played Macaroni, he was actually gay and contributed to the script and kind of helped them rewrite it so that it would be a lot more serious and the treatment of the gay characters. Because they weren't poking fun, because they talked about that a lot, but they were kind of like, you know, they let him have a look through the script and kind of changed it to what he wanted to do with his character, because his character is also gay. So you get some really early gay representation here in a Troma thing. I think probably the first one, because I don't know any others from Troma, let alone any movie from this time period of 1996, post-AIDS. Like, not many gay protagonists.
I know on Class of Nuke Em High they have a trans. Well, it's a guy and he has boobs. But that's the closest I've seen on a Troma film. But
yeah, it was really cool because I didn't know that, because there are many scenes of him just, you know, making out with guys and having sex and like all this stuff, and I'm like, is the actor okay with this? Like, I guess because he signed the contract, like he was fine, but to find out that he was actually gay, he wasn't being exploited, you know, all this stuff. Because they talked about how a lot of the classic actors, he was one of them, but he was always openly gay when he was in his plays and stuff in Germany. They talk about with the other actors, they weren't gay, but they all, you know, were really close, so they trusted, you know, to not be, you know, looked on or anything, to be exploited by the star. And there's a lot of, I guess, just fun scenes of that have been completely recontextualized now that I know that he is actually gay, and he contributed to, you know, the strong, I guess, portrayal. So, but it's really funny because I talked about how H.R. Geiger was a creative consultant, and I just assumed it was just an idea he had that he drew a painting on. And they were like, oh, that looks good, we gotta credit him, you know, whatever. No, he had a huge fucking part in this movie. He made all of the killer condoms. He made a dick-cutting machine that appears at the end of the movie. He apparently called the director every night at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and woke him up every day and was like, I got a new idea for the killer condom. And he was like, dude, it's like 4 a.m., stop calling me. And the director talks about how he stopped answering H.R. Geiger's calls and just told him to like just send whatever ideas you have and we'll do it. And H.R. Geiger is pretty open about how he hates like 99% of the movies he's worked on. But apparently after seeing this movie in theaters with everyone, H.R. Geiger fucking loved the movie. He was so happy that his dick cutting machine made it. Because they said he actually didn't think that they would use it. Because he sent them plans for this giant like pendulum like guillotine like dick cutting machine, and it's like 4 or 5 of them, and H.R. Geiger was like, yeah, if you want to make this, you should, but if not, I understand. And they did, and he was just like freaking out, like so happy that they made it. But H.R. Geiger apparently really wanted to do like a Cronenberg type of killer condom movie, like super serious. And they were like, no, someone tried that and it flopped horribly. And this movie was a pretty moderate success when it came out in theaters. But I don't have much else to say. The entire movie, story-wise, is just they're trying to figure out the mystery behind the killer condoms and how it got made, who made it, why did they make it, all of that. It's a really simple story, but it's one of the funnest movies I've ever seen. It is absolute bonkers.
Nice.
And with all this new information that I've heard about on the commentary track, because I hadn't seen this movie in about 2 or 3 years, because I watched it literally like 6 or 7 times straight in like just a couple years. From 2016 to like 2019, I just watched it like every other month. Just over and over and over again. And my disc started to skip. And so I was like, oh shit, like I gotta wait for the Blu-ray because I don't want to fuck this disc up so bad. And then I saw that it was a commentary track on it, and I was like, fuck, I need to know everything there is to know. And they talked about it. And it is absolutely awesome. So, yeah.
Nice.
My throat
Sounds like
is
one I
dead.
gotta check out. Is the killer condom practical in the film?
Everything is practical.
Everything is practical. And there's more than one I don't want to get spoilers, but there's more than one. Okay.
There are dozens of killer condoms.
Oh, okay.
There is a Monstro killer condom, which is the big one. And H.R. Geiger personally made that himself and wouldn't let the special effects people make it. So it's a giant puppet. So
Nice.
It's really awesome.
Come on, Vinegar Syndrome, man. We need it.
Yeah, and the ending, I'm not going to talk about it, but our main character has a big speech about, how awful, not Christians are, but, fundamentalist Christians are, was like, oh, no gay people, no contraceptives, sex is only for reproduction, which I don't believe in at all. I enjoy a good fuck. But, for me, it's all
Whatever
pleasure.
you do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always
Whatever
been
your style is,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And
There
our
shouldn't be no.
Macaroni
No
has this
judgment.
huge, I guess, speech about it and just talking. But in the background, I never noticed this because I'm always reading the subtitles of the movie. I never noticed this, but the commentary track pointed out that there are angels all along the background. And they're just walking around, and they have big angel wings, and they're going. And there's, like, children back there as, like, cupids and, like, all this stuff. And I'm like, I never even noticed that. And they were like, oh, look there, in the back, there's an angel. Now look, on the right side, now there's another angel. And I'm like, where was this? I've seen this movie, like, 10 times. I've never even noticed that. Because I always thought the ending was like, okay, whatever. Like, when that speech happens, I'm like, okay, they gotta have that scene. And I never noticed the angels and stuff, so quite literally, God is sending angels to support this guy who is like, everybody should have sex. Gay people are awesome. Like, all this
Whatever
stuff.
you are, yeah. Everyone has their own cup of tea, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
So this movie's awesome. It's a crime there's no Blu-ray.
Yeah.
The DVD's $80. I can't buy this movie again.
So I want to ask you, who had the bigger dick, dude? The sergeant here or fucking Suburban Film, man?
Suburban? What?
The Suburban Film guy with the big cock, or fucking Killer Condom? Who was the bigger cock there, man?
Oh, easily Macaroni. He
Macaroni?
has a giant dick. Yeah.
So he tops him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He has 32 centimeters exactly. Is the line?
Oh damn. That's a fucking horse, man. You ain't fucking with him. I saw a film a while back called Teeth. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh yeah, that's a famous one. I haven't seen it.
Kind of reminded me of A Way of Killer Condom with the teeth, but except this girl's vagina is the predator in that one.
Yeah.
That was a fucked up
That
film,
was a
dude.
James Gunn.
Mm.
He's Troma. So you could
That was a crazy film.
I'm surprised you didn't watch Beware Children That Play. That's a
I still
great...
gotta watch that. It's right here. It's right here on my pile.
It's awesome. That ending, I'm not gonna spoil it. Don't look it up. That ending, I could not stop laughing. One of the funniest endings of all time.
I gotta check it out because I love killer kid flicks, man. I saw Bloody Birthday, which I love that film. So. Killer kids, man. You can't don't fuck with the little rats. They'll take you out.
They're dangerous in that movie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's it. Those are my questions right there. So.
Yeah, Killer Condom's amazing. Don't pay $80 for the DVD, because maybe there'll be a Blu-ray. I've been submitting, because there's a form on Vinegar Syndrome's website where you can suggest movies. I have been suggesting Killer Condom for 5 or 6 years now. Once or twice a year. I'm shocked they haven't done it yet. I hope they do a giant, like, Flesh for Frankenstein type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, package. Because I would die.
And you would think they would do that because it's such an odd film. You don't hear of Killer Condom, man. You hear...
Nobody knows it. Like, I don't know anybody who has seen
it's on
it.
its own, yeah.
Because Will actually introduced it to me in class. And I just ended up watching it over and over again. I finally got my own copy because I would just borrow it from him. And I found mine at a used bookstore for like $25, and I was like, fuck yeah, give me that, and I took it. And right beside it was the Sleepaway Camp box set, the DVD one, with the medical kit.
Nice set. Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I don't want that, I want Killer Condom. And now that set is worth like $600 or something. It's insane.
Yeah, it's way out of print.
It was like $20 when I saw it on the shelf.
I have Sleepaway Camp 1, but I don't got the sequels. I need to get the sequels.
Yeah, I have the first one.
First one, that ending's fucked up, man. Still shocks me to this day.
I love the behind-the-scenes stuff with Felissa Jones or something. Whatever.
Felissa Rose, something like that.
Yeah. I love all the behind-the-scenes of that movie. But before we go on too much longer, because we're at almost 2 hours now, goodness.
Oh, man.
The next theme. So you chose this one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list. I added a few. So.
I was going to ask you if I could add one. Do you think
Sure.
Full Moon features? We could add some
Oh, Full Moon, yeah.
Maybe we could do that one. Since we did Troma, I said we got to do Full Moon also.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm going to choose 70s Japanese cult films. That's the next one because I have a shit ton I need to get through. So,
So that so that could be like genre wise universal pretty much.
yep.
Okay.
A lot of slashers, samurai films. I mean, we could do a whole Meiko Kaji video, but then there'd probably be a lot of overlap as we both watch Lady Snowblood or whatever.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
But, so yeah, 70s Japanese cult films. There are a shit
Nice.
ton, and there's about 2 weeks left. I think I even have a lot more Japanese cult films coming in from the Vinegar Syndrome package. So,
I'm sure I have them.
yeah, I have a lot of Japanese cinema. That's kind of what I focus on aside from cult stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for joining with us again, Leon.
Thanks for having me again, Christian. This is a blast, man. And I look forward to some more cinema trash we get into, or you never know, we might pull out a masterpiece out of here. So